Honestly, I feel like I've been filming for a long time, and I think I would like to do a part 2 to this video. Let's continue. The next thing would be boundaries, right? I'm actually currently reading a book on boundaries, and I would love to film a full video on boundaries once I'm done reading this book. But boundaries are very, very important. And boundaries as well, just from reading this book, just starting reading the book, boundaries are different. We have different types. We have financial boundaries, mental, emotional, physical boundaries, and etc. So what I would say when it comes to this, because right now I can just think of like kind of like emotional, mental, financial boundaries, then you do want to set those in place. Sometimes as women, we're people pleasers. We want to kind of like sweep things under the rug. We are afraid of confrontation. We are afraid to speak up when we need to speak up. When a friend does something wrong, we are afraid to say something, and you're going, I talked about this before, but I'll link that video on how to speak up. But basically, I talked about how when friend A wrongs you, instead of saying to friend A, you did this, this, and this wrong, we're going to friend B complaining about friend A. We do this sometimes as women, which is absolutely 1000% wrong, because the thing is that sometimes, because you may say to friend B, how would they not know what they did is wrong, or how did they think what this is okay? But the truth is, we are human. We were raised in different backgrounds. We were raised in different countries, sometimes different national, like we're just raised differently, and what may rub you off the wrong way, that person may be absolutely clueless. Like I remember when I actually even got checked, like I don't know, it was like a few months ago, I would say, like a friend just called me. It was something that happened from like the day before, 2 days before. She called me and said, Gloria, you did this, you said this the other day in front of, you know, this person, and that made me really uncomfortable. As a friend, I do not appreciate that. And I was like, ooh, okay, word. So of course it really hurt me in the moment. I felt really bad about myself, but at the same time I really appreciated that they took the time to actually call me and let me know, like, you did this and it was wrong, right? Instead of them going around behind my back and talking crap about me, right? So when it comes to this, I would just say that as friends, just in general, when it comes to building friendships, boundaries need to be set. Boundaries need to be set. Like when someone does something to you that you are unhappy of, it does not matter. Don't say to yourself, oh, they may think I'm sensitive. Oh, they may think this. No, it does not matter. As long as your feelings are valid. And so if they hurt your feelings in any kind of way, you need to speak up. When it comes to financial boundaries, that is, you know, a friend borrowing money, not returning, pretending like they forgot, maybe they did forget or whatnot. What do you learn from that? It's okay, we can still be friends, but that does not mean that when you're trying to borrow money from me again, that means I need to, you know, give it to you again, kind of thing. So that's where you're setting the boundaries. Like, I love you, but I borrowed you money the last time, you did not pay me back, so guess what, I'm not going to do that again. It does not mean that because you're a friend you keep just giving and giving and giving and giving and not receiving anything in return. That it's no wisdom. It's just no wisdom, and it's not even friendship at the end of the day, right? Yeah, so definitely consider this when it comes to your friendships. Just look for ways to set those boundaries. Another thing I would like to add when it comes to friendships is that strong friendships are built on conflict. Strong friendships are built on conflict. Actually, a friend, you wouldn't really know if they're really, really a true friend until you have gone through something where the two of you are in conflict. Because actually, when you can go through conflict, you can resolve that conflict and actually still remain friends, still be good friends. That's when you know this is actually my true friend, right? Having a good friendship does not mean it's absent of disagreements. That does not mean it's absent of conflict, right? So yes, definitely having conflict, having disagreements, that's normal. It's part, if you're dating, you're gonna have disagreements. The same thing with building friendships. You're gonna have disagreements. You're gonna have moments where, you know, we're having a fight, this doesn't align, but it's actually how you come out of that, actually how you resolve that and still remain friends. That's what matters the most. Okay. The next point is forgiveness. I don't know, I think I've read this somewhere, I've seen this somewhere, where a person was just talking about how sometimes when it comes to like dating, like, you know, when you're in a relationship with a guy and you can give them like 10 chances, you know, there could be cheating left, right, and center. You're forgiving the cheating, you're forgiving everything. But somehow when it comes to friendships, sometimes we're super quick to cut a person off, right? And I don't know, they were just saying like how this is not okay. And I agree like 100%. I don't know, for some reason when it comes to men, we can tolerate certain things, but when it comes to friendships, we like, maybe we don't value the friendship as much, or I don't know what it is. But I do think forgiveness is essential when it comes to friendships, because guess what? You're dealing with another human being. You are a human being. We make mistakes. We do things that we shouldn't have done. We regret certain things. And so I do think that we need to be forgiving. We do need to forgive our friends, you know. If they're saying like, I'm sorry, I really don't mean to do this, you know, it's not going to happen again. You know, if it's a pattern, if it's a behavior that you feel like you absolutely cannot tolerate, of course I understand. But sometimes a friend can do something to you that you feel like, oh my gosh, like how would you do that? Or like, how did you do that kind of thing? That may make you question the friendship. But you do want to take the time to just give the person the benefit of the doubt, hear them out, and forgive. Just forgive. Like how you'd forgive your nigga, you forgive your man, then forgive your friend too. She's human or he's human. They make mistakes. Be open-minded and give grace, right? You also want to be given grace. When you have done something wrong, you want to be given grace, right? So I would also say we need to also give grace to our friends, be kind to our friends, understand that they're human and they make mistakes. And sometimes the best friendship come from those kind of huge fights or huge fuck ups that happen, and then from that you actually become really, really good friends. So I would just say forgiveness is major. If you're going to forgive a guy, then forgive that friend too. Of course, we don't want to tolerate abuse of any kind, emotional abuse. So we don't want to tolerate any kind of abuse. But if it's other things that you feel, you know, led in your spirit to be forgiving, you hear them out, they apologize, then please consider forgiveness. And the next thing I would like to talk about is just following your intuition, following your God, following that inner voice, that Holy Spirit that is always speaking to us every single day, every single time. It's very, very important. I think we talk about it all the time when it comes to dating. You know, when you go on that first date, when you go on that second date, you know, how do you feel inside? Like, is there something in your spirit that's saying something is off? Is there something in your spirit that's saying, you know, don't continue with this? We want to always follow that, right? I think that sometimes when it comes to friendships and we get burnt, you know, I've never had that story where I've had a friend who was, actually I have, but it was years back. It was like still in high school. We'll forget about that. But as an adult, I haven't had like that where I've like been like burnt from a friend, right? But I watch YouTube videos, you know, some friendships like really take a left turn and things turn out really, really bad. And what they always say, like in the end, they always say like, you know, maybe we're friends for like 10 years or 15 years or, you know, whatnot. And it's possible that perhaps in the beginning when the friendship was building, they cannot recall or remember like how they were feeling inside. But what I believe personally, even when it comes to like dating, and I believe like our intuition is always speaking, right? The Holy Spirit is always speaking. And so it's always like if something is off, it's always going to tell you something is off. Like don't proceed, kind of like, you know, it could be like, I don't know, red light, orange light, or whatever. But it would say don't proceed, right? And so I think it's very important. We have to make sure that we're staying in tune. We are staying kind of like aware of like what our intuition is saying to us, right? If something is feeling off with a certain person that you're trying to, you know, build that friendship with, or let's say you've been friends with a person for, you know, months or years, but you just feel like you're being led to a different direction, that is totally fine. We outgrow, sometimes it's outgrowing as well. Like we outgrow people. Sometimes it could be that they're up to something malicious towards you. You could be sometimes we have friends that are like low-key hater friends, we don't even know it. And so it could be like in the beginning you didn't notice anything, but later on your spirit is telling you this is not where you need to be. Then I would just say you really need to follow that 100%. If you don't want to be burned in a friendship, you don't want, you know, things to go all the way left, then just kind of like, you know, dissolve that friendship. How do we dissolve a friendship? It's hard. It's not easy. It's like sometimes they say friendship breakups are harder than romantic relationship breakups, and I agree with this to some extent, right? It's hard, and I can think of it in two ways. I could think of it in a way that It's just having a, you know, a conversation up front, like, I feel as though we've been friends for this a certain amount of time, and you know, I love you, I care about you, but right now my heart is leading to a different direction. But it could just be that I don't want to be friends anymore, kind of thing. So that's like super direct. It hurts, it's, you know, very painful, but that's still just you being super direct, and it can end kind of like immediately. Or the other thing, which I don't know if somebody will say it's cowardly, or I don't know, it could just be for it to just kind of like dissolve over time, right? So this is just you reducing communication. So it could just be like, let's say if you were talking every day, you start talking every other day, you start talking, you know, once per week, or if you were meeting every week, you start just, it kind of just dissolves slowly. And this is just by you kind of like, if you're gonna meet up, you just don't meet up. Like, here, something came up, I was gonna meet you today, but something came up, I'm not gonna meet you today. So some friendships dissolve like that. So this is if you're, you know, sometimes you're scared to just kind of like tell the person, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. So if you're scared to do that, then you can just follow this route of kind of like dissolving it slowly and just meeting less. If you're talking frequently, just reduce the amount of, this is also part of setting boundaries as well. So it's just meeting less, talking less, and they may get the hint, or because, you know, that closeness is decreasing, then the friendship will slowly dissolve, right? Okay, I feel like that was a long one. But thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next time. Bye.